Maryland whispers its past through images both grand and humble. A president standing at Antietam, steamboats heavy with watermelons, children spinning on a seaside carousel, and workers packing crabs by the bay. These rare photographs reveal a state of contrasts where war, wonder, and everyday life shaped America's unfolding story. Summit Avenue, Gaithersburg, 1900. This photograph captures Summit Avenue in Gaithersburg, Maryland, when the town was still a small rural community. The unpaved road stretches into the distance, flanked by modest wooden structures and shaded trees. The quiet scene reflects the slower rhythm of daily life at the turn of the 20th century in Maryland. North Main Street, Manchester, 1900. Around 1900, North Main Street in Manchester, Maryland, was a quiet, tree-lined avenue with brick storefronts and dirt roads. The photo shows small shops and homes shaded by large trees, creating a picturesque small-town atmosphere. It reflects the simplicity of rural life at the dawn of the 20th century in Maryland. Firefighters, Frederick, Maryland, 1900. Firefighters in Frederick, Maryland relied on horse-drawn engines to battle blazes across the growing town. This photograph captures the pride of the local brigade, with polished helmets, heavy wagons, and strong draft horses ready to pull the equipment. It reflects an era when courage and horsepower defined public safety. Biddle Farm, Myersville, 1900. This wide view of Biddle Farm near Myersville, Maryland, highlights both the sturdy farmhouse and surrounding barns. The fenced pastures, outbuildings, and rolling hills create a portrait of rural prosperity at the turn of the century in Maryland. It captures the essence of farm life in western Maryland's countryside. Braddock Springs, Braddock Heights, 1900. At Braddock Springs around 1900, a man and child rest on a flat stone above the natural spring that gave the site its name. The rustic wooden fence and surrounding woodland frame the quiet moment. Once a popular resort area, these springs symbolized leisure and renewal in rural Maryland. Dairy Truck of C.W. Martz, Frederick, 1900. Around 1900 in Frederick, Maryland, C.W. Martz's horse-drawn dairy truck delivered milk to local families. The wagon proudly displays the name Frederick City Dairy, a symbol of trust and community reliance. This photograph captures both the driver and a woman by the barn, evoking everyday rural life and tradition. Main Street, Sharpsburg, 1900. This photograph of Main Street in Sharpsburg, Maryland, shows a quiet town still marked by its Civil War legacy. The dirt road stretches toward the church steeples in the distance, framed by brick houses and storefronts. It captures the resilience of a community rebuilding after decades of historic turmoil. Battle Monument Square, Baltimore, 1900. Baltimore's Battle Monument Square bustled with life, framed by the courthouse and Calvert Street. The Battle Monument, honoring the city's defenders of 1812, stands proudly at the center. Pedestrians, horse-drawn carriages, and an early streetcar share the streets, capturing a vibrant scene of Maryland's largest city at the turn of the century.
Today, at this very moment, are you enjoying this nostalgic trip? Like and subscribe now to follow all 50 U.S. states in rare, colorized photos. Don't miss the rest of the journey.
Mount Vernon Place, Baltimore, 1900. This photograph captures Mount Vernon Place from the southeast, highlighting Baltimore's iconic Washington Monument and the Mount Vernon Place United Methodist Church. The scene reveals the city's elegance at the turn of the century, with surrounding architecture, tree-lined streets, and early urban life shaping one of Maryland's cultural landmarks. Baltimore Firehouse at Lafayette Avenue and Stricker Street, 1900. Firefighters from Hook and Ladder Company No. 10 stand proudly in front of their Baltimore station on West Lafayette Avenue. The brick building, with its tall, arched doors and second-story windows, represents the city's organized fire service at the turn of the century, complete with horse-drawn apparatus. Piedmont Airline Railroad Dock along Light Street, 1900. View of the Piedmont Airline Railroad Dock at Light Street in Baltimore, Maryland. The sign above the docks reads, Pier 2, Piedmont Airline via York River, Richmond and Danville Railroad. People stand in front of the building alongside horses, wagons, and barrels. A sign that runs underneath the roof lists a number of southern cities. Packing live crabs for shipment, Oxford, Maryland, 1899. In 1899, workers in Oxford, Maryland packed live hard crabs into wooden barrels for shipment, a glimpse into the booming Chesapeake Bay seafood trade. This photograph captures the labor-intensive process that sustained Maryland's coastal economy, linking local fishermen to distant markets and cementing the state's identity with its iconic blue crabs. Relic Room at the Confederate Bazaar, 1898. This photograph captures the Confederate Bazaar, a relic room at the Maryland Line Confederate Soldiers' Home in Pikesville. Opened in 1888 to house veterans of the Confederacy, the facility displayed flags, portraits, and memorabilia honoring their service. The building, originally a federal arsenal from 1818, operated until 1932. Unloading watermelons, 1897. At Bowley's Wharf in Baltimore, 1897, vendors unload a sailing ship packed with watermelons. Likely Arabers or horse cart vendors, they represent a tradition deeply tied to the city's African-American culture. This bustling waterfront scene highlights Baltimore's thriving produce trade at the close of the 19th century. Mount Royal Station, Baltimore, 1896. The elegant interior of Baltimore's Mount Royal Station, the first U.S. train station built specifically for electric locomotives, opened that same year by the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad. The station symbolized innovation in transportation. Its arched steel beams and spacious platforms reflected a new era of modern rail travel. Baltimore Union Baseball Park, 1895. This photograph shows the entrance to Baltimore's Union Park, once home to its city's professional baseball teams. Crowds gather outside the gates, reflecting baseball's growing popularity as America's pastime. Union Park hosted the Baltimore Orioles of the National League and became a lively hub of late 19th century sports culture. Backyard Snowball Fight, 1895. Captured in Baltimore around 1895, this playful photograph shows two women engaged in a snowball fight in the backyard of the Stewart family residence on West Lanvale Street. Their long dresses contrast with the light-hearted winter activity, offering a rare glimpse of leisure and spontaneity in Victorian-era urban life. Monument to the Maryland Line, Guilford Battlefield, 1892. Dedicated on October 15, 1892, this monument honors the Maryland Line soldiers who fought at the Battle of Guilford Courthouse during the Revolutionary War. The dedication ceremony, attended by members of the Maryland Historical Society, symbolized enduring respect for Maryland's contributions to independence and the sacrifices made on that battlefield. Baltimore's first post office, 1891. This photograph shows Baltimore's first post office, originally built in the 18th century on Front Street near Exeter in Old Town. Couriers carried mail through this modest wooden structure connecting Philadelphia, Annapolis, and Maryland's capital. By 1891, it remained a symbol of early American communication and civic development. Johns Hopkins Hospital, 1890. This 1890 view shows the grand entrance of Johns Hopkins Hospital on North Broadway, Baltimore. Its domed central tower and symmetrical wings represent innovation in both architecture and medicine. The hospital quickly became one of the world's leading medical institutions, symbolizing progress in healthcare and education at the close of the 19th century. U.S. Naval Academy football team, Annapolis, 1890. This photograph captures an early football team at the U.S. Naval Academy in Annapolis, Maryland. The game was still in its rugged, formative years, played without modern protective gear. These midshipmen were pioneers of the sport, blending discipline, teamwork, and endurance in an era that shaped college athletics. Tolchester Carousel, 1888. This photograph shows children enjoying the carousel at Tolchester Beach Amusement Park in Kent County, Maryland. Opened from 1877 to 1962, the park featured a beach, racetrack, hotel, and amusements. Accessible by steamboat from Baltimore, it became a beloved summer escape for generations of Chesapeake Bay families. 900 block of Fulton Avenue, Baltimore, 1885. This 1885 photograph shows the 900 block of Fulton Avenue in Baltimore, lined with elegant Victorian row homes. A wide landscaped median enhances the view, while a horse-drawn streetcar moves along the street. Fulton Avenue later gained historical significance as a racial boundary under the city's 1910 segregation ordinance. Head of Sassafras Inn and General Store, 1880. Around 1880, the head of Sassafras Inn and General Store in Maryland bustled with life, as captured here, with horses, wagons, and townsfolk gathered outside. Owned by John Fagan Ernest from 1869 to 1915, it was a cornerstone of the community until a devastating fire erased it in 1925. Baltimore Street between St. Paul Street and Calvert Street, 1878. This bustling 1878 view captures Baltimore Street alive with horse-drawn carriages, trolleys, and prominent shopfronts. Visible businesses include Murphy & Co. Publishers, Steinbach Importers, and Samuel Hunt & Sons, sellers of trunks and saddles. The tightly packed storefronts and overhead wires reflect the city's rapid urban and commercial growth. Elevated view of Baltimore City, 1873. In 1873, Baltimore unfolded like a living canvas of brick and stone, its tightly packed streets stretching toward the horizon. From the steeple of the First Presbyterian Church, one could see a city in motion, markets buzzing, horse-drawn carriages threading narrow lanes, and church towers punctuating the skyline. Looking north, northwest, and northeast, the city revealed its contrasts: dense housing blocks beside stately Gothic Revival landmarks, chimneys marking industry's pulse, and green hills watching silently from the distance. These elevated views freeze Baltimore at a pivotal moment, a growing metropolis balancing tradition and transformation on the edge of modernity. Inner Harbor from Federal Hill, 1873. This panoramic view from the Federal Hill Marine Observatory shows Baltimore's bustling inner harbor. Steamboats line the Light Street wharves, while the SS Helen is moored at Spears Wharf. In the distance, the Baltimore Basilica rises above the skyline, with the Washington Monument visible just to the right. Tudor Hall, Booth Family, Bel Air, 1865. This 1865 photograph captures Tudor Hall, the home of the Booth family in Bel Air, Maryland. Built in the mid-19th century, the Gothic Revival House was residence to John Wilkes Booth, the infamous assassin of President Abraham Lincoln. The property remains preserved today as a historic site, reflecting its turbulent past. Cumberland, Maryland, 1865. This photograph shows the town of Cumberland, Maryland, nestled among the Appalachian Mountains. Two figures stand on a hillside overlooking the valley, where scattered houses and buildings reflect a community emerging from the Civil War years. Cumberland would grow into an important transportation and industrial hub. United States Courthouse, Baltimore, 1864. This 1864 photograph shows the old United States Courthouse at the northwest corner of Fayette and North Streets in Baltimore, Maryland. Built in the mid-19th century, the courthouse became a central landmark of justice in the city, reflecting Baltimore's growing importance during and after the Civil War era. Dental College, Assembly Buildings, 1864. This photograph shows the Baltimore College of Dental Surgery at Hanover and Lombard Streets. Founded in 1840, it became the University of Maryland's Department of Dentistry in 1882. The building once housed the Baltimore Assembly and was known as the Assembly Buildings, linking civic tradition with pioneering medical education. Fort Sumner, 1863. This photograph shows Fort Sumner, Maryland, built northwest of Washington, D.C. during the Civil War. Barracks for officers and soldiers stand in the foreground, part of the city's vast defensive network. The fort was one of many protecting the Union capital, symbolizing the urgency and tension surrounding Washington's survival during wartime. Main Street in Sharpsburg, 1862. This photograph captures Main Street in Sharpsburg, Maryland, immediately after the Battle of Antietam in September 1862. The dirt road and wooden houses show the scars of war, with an air of emptiness lingering in the aftermath. Sharpsburg became forever tied to one of the bloodiest days in American history. Antietam Bridge, Maryland, 1862. This photograph of Antietam Bridge, taken in September 1862, captures one of the pivotal sites of the Civil War. The bridge, later called Burnside Bridge, became a symbol of fierce combat during the Battle of Antietam, where Union and Confederate forces clashed in one of America's bloodiest days. Abraham Lincoln with Allan Pinkerton and General McClernand, Antietam, Maryland, 1862. Photographed at Antietam, Maryland on October 3, 1862, this image shows President Abraham Lincoln standing with Allan Pinkerton, head of Union intelligence, and Major General John A. McClernand. Captured shortly after the Civil War's bloodiest battle, the photo reflects leadership under crisis. Pinkerton later founded the Pinkerton National Detective Agency. Baltimore Street, 1850. This view of the 600 block of Baltimore Street shows a bustling downtown lined with trolley tracks and tightly packed shops. Signs advertise tobacco, cigars, and the National Rifle Company. The street captures mid-19th century urban life with businesses, pedestrians, and an early trolley visible in the distance. These forgotten images of Maryland remind us that history is more than dates. It is lives lived, dreams built, and struggles endured. Each photo is a window into the resilience and spirit of a state that helped shape the nation. May these glimpses of yesterday inspire reflections for today.